Welcome to the Lyrasis Member Summit. Our topic this year is next practices for advancing DEIA, which of course is diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. I'm Meg McCroskey Blum. My pronouns are she and her, and I am a white woman coming to you from coastal Maine in the US. As we begin the event, I'd like to acknowledge the original inhabitants of the land where I sit today. They are the Wabanaki and Penobscot nations. Now, this area is historical, significant, and sacred to the Wabanaki and Penobscot nations, as are the lands of all First Nations people. I encourage all of us to learn more and reflect about the peoples, nations, treaties, and languages that preceded us in our homes, campuses, and institutions. Now to the content of today. Who are we? Who is Lyrasis? I know we have a lot of members joining us today, and I know we have a lot of friends of members joining us as well. People who wanted to participate in the conversation and hear our fantastic keynote. So just so you know, Lyrasis is a global nonprofit that works alongside our members, libraries, who are libraries, archives, museums, galleries, historical societies, universities, and knowledge communities, to develop, support, and deliver innovative programs, services, and technologies. And our goal is to create more equitable access to the world's knowledge and cultural heritage. And what is this? This is our annual summit. So part of our bylaws as a nonprofit membership organization require that at least once a year we come together with our community, with all of our members, to meet and to just bring everyone together. This year, we're doing it a little differently. In years past, it's always been in person, at least for the last 6 years. This year, obviously, we're joining remotely for, I think, reasons that we all understand. I won't do the "in these difficult times" speech today. I think we all understand. And we decided to change the topic from a general discussion of issues in the field, which is traditionally what we've done during our member summit, and focus really clearly on DEIA. So why? Why are we talking about DEIA together today? I think the first reason is because it's vitally important. I think a very easy argument could be made that it's the most important issue facing knowledge communities today, as well as the world outside of our community members. Another reason is because our board of trustees, our team, which is our staff, and all of our members have prioritized this topic. So we know it's important, and we've heard from you that it's important. So it was time to convene a conversation about DEIA together as a community among us all. And Lyrasis wanted to step in and have that. You'll hear more about the why when I introduce our board chair, Aviva Weinrab-Lajoie. A quick overview of the day. We're going to start this morning with a keynote. Our keynote is Dr. Pamela Newkirk, who I'm sure you've all read about. She will start us off this morning, and following her keynote, we'll have a quick Q&A, and that will feature Robert Miller, who is the CEO of Lyrasis. He and Dr. Newkirk will have a discussion and a quick Q&A. After that, we'll go to a set of 4 breakout sessions. You'll have your choice of the breakout that you'd like to join. After the breakouts, which will include a presentation by our speakers and a discussion, we'll come back to the plenary and we'll have another speaker who is Dr. Donald Outing, and he'll be our closing speaker. That will follow by a Q&A, again with Robert Miller, and then some closing remarks with Robert Miller. So a couple of notes before we really get started. This is a Zoom meeting, and as we all know, Zoom is filled with idiosyncrasies, as are we as Zoom users. So apologies in advance for any bumps in the road. One sort of funny note is that Zoom just last week rolled out a whole new set of features. So we're all sort of navigating this live together, just as we have for the last year. So I hope that if there are any bumps in the road, we can endure them with hopefully a chuckle and a smile. We recommend speaker review for this event. I believe that's the default setting. We're hoping that mics will all be muted, and we encourage you to use the chat feature. You'll hear myself and a lot of our speakers refer to one of our trusty colleagues, Jonathan Robinson, who's helping us run this from the back end, from the Zoom perspective. So if you have any needs or questions, you can get to him privately in the chat. Again, Jonathan Robinson, and just want to thank him before we kick off for all of his work. Another note is that we do have a code of conduct. All Lyrasis events abide by the code of conduct that has been shared in the chat. The basics of the code of conduct are just to be respectful of each other. We want to encourage open and constructive discussion for everyone. If you have any questions or concerns about the code of conduct, you can reach out to me in the chat. You can reach out to me on email. That's meg.blum, B-L-U-M, @lyrasis.org. Or any of my colleagues will be happy to help you out. You'll know most of the Lyrasis employees because we'll have the background here. Hopefully that'll help. Last note is that this event will be captioned and recorded. If you need captions and can't access them, please reach out to Jonathan in the chat or put it in the chat and we'll track that. And it will be recorded. Now the breakout sessions, because they could have sensitive conversation, only the presentations will be recorded. The discussions afterward will not. But after the event, we'll share a report to the full community, as well as the recordings. So with that, I'd like to introduce the chair of the Lyrasis Board of Trustees, Aviva Weinrob-Lajoie, who's the Vice Provost for University Libraries at University at Buffalo. So I'll hand off to Aviva.
Thank you, Meg. Good morning, everybody. So as Meg said, again, my name is Aviva Weinrob-Lajoie. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the Vice Provost of University Libraries at the University at Buffalo, SUNY, which operates on the territory of the Seneca Nation, a member of the Haudenosaunee Six Nations Confederacy. This territory is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Treaty of Peace and Friendship, a pledge to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. It is also covered by the 1794 Treaty of Canandaigua between the United States government and the Six Nations Confederacy, which further affirmed Haudenosaunee land rights and sovereignty in the state of New York. And I have the honor of serving as the current board chair for Lyrasis as well. I joined the Lyrasis board as part of the 2019 merger with Duraspace. That may have been 2018. And I've had the honor of working alongside and getting to know Robert and the entire Lyrasis team during that time. I have found myself impressed with their professionalism, their hard work and dedication, and their belief in the Lyrasis mission to support enduring access to the world's shared academic, scientific, and cultural heritage through leadership in open technologies, content services, digital solutions, and in collaboration with archives, libraries, museums, and knowledge communities worldwide. So while equity, diversity, and inclusion and accessibility work have been part of libraries' ethos and culture for a while, in 2013, after Trayvon Martin's murderer was acquitted, the Black Lives Matter movement began, and the violence perpetrated on our Black friends, colleagues, and communities began to come into sharper relief for many of us while meeting white folks. In 2016, BLM protests on American university campuses brought to light the systemic and structural deficiencies that we are dealing with as a nation. A fact that was really driven home for me personally when I realized that students on the campus of the university where I was working at the time were effectively making the same demands that our Black students had asked for 50 years earlier. We know that there are problems in our profession. Our most used classification system was created by a misogynistic racist. Our collections primarily tell the stories of white Western culture. Our adherence to US copyright law undermines tribal sovereignty. We have difficulty recruiting, but more important, retaining staff who don't come from the dominant white Western Christian cultural majority in the United States.
Oh, it does say.
This is by no means an exhaustive list, but is designed to underline that we are not an exception to Dr. Newkirk's work. We still have come short on diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility outcomes. We have done some, but we have so much more to do. Anti-racism work is critical for all fields, but for cultural heritage institutions especially. The work that we do informs and directs the knowledge resources that are used by creators, researchers, scholars, and communities as they build programs, businesses, curricula, research agenda, exhibitions, and of course, craft the story of our history. We must bring an anti-racist, equity, and inclusion-based approach to our work. We have an obligation to our current and future selves to not just frame our profession as trusted and responsive in this space, but to be trusted and responsive. To not act means that we forfeit our right to claim that role. We must do our best to make sure that the way that we describe, collect, produce, and share information is as inclusive, accurate, and fair as we possibly can. So addressing issues of equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility have been important for the Lyrasis staff and the board for some time, but I would be lying if I said that George Floyd's murder this past summer and the collective realization that structural racism is real, systemic, and corrosive has allowed all of us to have some very hard conversations and learn some very harsh realities. Both the staff and the board of Lyrasis recognize that we are not experts in equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility, but we are part of this conversation. And we view this summit as a learning opportunity for all of us, because we can and we will do more. With that, I am so excited to welcome Dr. Pamela Newkirk, author of Diversity, Inc., The Failed Promise of a $1 Billion Business. With that, Dr. Newkirk.